Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got an interesting rack. It's balanced, no duplicates. P and W not particularly bingo-y, but this still feels close to a bingo. And opponent changes. So I only need look for a 7. And I'm not seeing one. So I think the choice is between POW and WOP. And yeah, I think POW is better because it doesn't take the S hook at the front. I could play Power for a lot more points, but Dire is a really good 4-letter set. So I'm even closer to a bingo now. Is there a 7? Not seeing one, but there will be a host of 8s with the right floater, but there may be none if opponent plays a short parallel play. Through an A, I would have iterated. What about the P? I have pitted. What about the O? Gosh, I thought that was the most likely of the floaters, but I'm not seeing anything. And possibly wittered, but I feel that's got an H rather than an I. So at the moment, it's pitted and prettied its anagram, which may stay available. We shall see. But is there really no 7 here? Very high probability if there is one. Through an L, I would have retitled. POW takes an N and an S after it. Really not seeing a 7 here. Opponent does take out pitted. Doesn't provide any new floaters. So just some 2-letter sets to consider. So this rack plus OP. So, well, I was thinking about a play beginning diop, but I'm not seeing one. And I think this would be within the range of the 9s that I've studied. If there were to be a bingo here, not seeing anything with OP. What about KO? No. How about AW? No. Okay. So I haven't got anything to go in front of KO. KO doesn't take anything in front. So I think the most promising lane is row I. Only my R goes underneath KO of my consonants. Only my an E goes under OP. An E can go under OR. So I have tiered. Is that the play? I do want to play off a T. So yes, I think it is. Tiered for 29. Well, another balanced rack with no duplicates, but V and W, especially together, are non-bingo-y. Fortunately, I have an O, so I may be able to play vow or vowel or wove. Quite a tight board in terms of bingo lanes. Inevitably, there are some lanes, but not a host. I have wolve in row H, which is a big score, and stays available. I was just waiting for opponent to play there. I note that opponent has scored very well, 40 points. Doesn't provide anything I need to consider, in that there's nothing better than wolve. Wolve for 47 with a good rack leave. Now, surely I am bingoing. So I have 7s on my rack, Artisan, Tsarina and Anti-Rs. Do any of them play? Hope takes an S in front. None of my bingos begin with an S. So Artisan doesn't play. Tsarina doesn't play. Anti-Rs doesn't play. This is just in row E. So where else to consider? There's row J. opponent creates the shape word, which takes nothing in front. I'm not sure it takes anything after either. Maybe a past tense of shape. So at the moment, I don't have a bingo. Rather than look for sevens, let me quickly consider the floaters in wolf. So anti-war doesn't take an S. So I'm not seeing a bingo through that. What about the O? No. Gosh, that will be such a high probability bingo if there is one. And the L. No. Okay, so what else to consider? Nothing goes in front of or after tiered. There's row J on the right-hand side. Shope has taken out the left-hand side. AWE only takes an S of the tiles I've got, and Sarina doesn't play. So opponent has scuppered my bingo prospects, which is galling. Unless I've overlooked a bingo through W, O or L. And it's the O which most concerns me. So I have Asian with ARS. Not seeing anything there. Ration with AS. No. Okay. I'm going to have to give up on that. 15 minutes on my clock. Always painful having to split up a bingo rack. So I can do this. Play just Arl for 6 points, retaining strain, which is excellent. There are the floaters in wolf, and Arl does create a new lane in row C because Arl takes a T in front. I am going with this. And I draw an I. So what does that give me? Just looking at the... Well, let me consider 7-letter plays. Is Intazi good? I don't think it is. I think that used to be good, but no longer is. Well, I don't seem to have checked that properly. Let me try again, since the spot remains available. No. So, opponent blocking bingo lanes. I trail by only 24. Does Intazi have an anagram? And I don't think it does. So, roll takes an S. Not seeing anything beginning with an S. But this rack is good. Suffering from a lack of an E, I think. Do I just stick an I? I think I'll stick an I here. I could put it under DI, but then opponent can score so much with any rack. Whereas opponent now is being denied column 1. And they'll find it difficult to block row K without creating a new lane. And strain is still a very good 6-letter set. And I duplicate a tile, and I think it's a tile which does not give me a bingo. I would have starring onto a G. I've clearly signposted to opponent that I'm jolly close to a bingo. But this isn't. This is a really, really poor rack. The R is usually a very bingo-y tile, but in the absence of an E, it's really not doing anything here. and very difficult to get value from the scoring tiles on the board. Okay, great. Well, I can now get value from the Z. And I would like to play off my duplicate R. So what I can do is this. Ran does take an I, but that would make my rack worse, and it would provide access to this triple word square. So I think Ran for 23 is the best I can do here. So nitrids may be good. If it is, that plays in row M because INN is good, and it plays in row C because of Tal. So, is nitrids good? I feel that it is. Great, my choices are simplified. Let's see if this stays on. And just momentarily pausing in case there's a better spot. Or a further spot, I don't think there is. Great, I do bingo, and I take a slender lead. Not a great rack, but 7 random tiles, so could be a lot worse. I have easy in column 8 for over 30 points. That remains available, fantastic. 50-point X play for opponents. However, I have easy for 33. Is this the play? Not a great rack lead, could easily deteriorate. So I have I plus gate. Do I have anything better than easy? What about row A? Well, G can go in front of ER, but I don't have any 5-letter plays ending in G. Nothing goes in front of XI. I think I do need to get the Y doubled for score in column 8. And I have no alternative to easy in terms of doing that. I am going with this. Great, that could have been a lot worse. I don't have a 7, I don't think. If an E were an A, I would have regatta. So few floaters on this board. Just 2 points between us. This is a close one. And I think I have previous history of close battles with this opponent. Through an I would have a Gret. Through an R, retarget. So what about E and A? I don't think I have anything. So I have gate as a component part of a word with ret. No, not seeing anything with the tiles in easy. I have retag in row A, which is quite nice. Doesn't provide anything for opponent and scores handily and turns over 5 tiles with 2 blanks still in the pool. Only 33 tiles left in the bag, so we're 2/3 of the way through the game and just 2 points separating us. This is a close one. Oh, ouch. Opponent goes in my retag spot, scores handsomely. I now trail by 50 and I've got a tricky rack. So this game is no longer close. I trail. So, what about doing rag? Only 24 points, disappointing, and a poor rack leave. But I think this board is going to be slim in terms of opportunities. I do need to keep it open. I don't think rain is good, R-A-N-E. Let me just check that. It's not, so it is just... Oh, well, what about rat instead of rag? I don't think this rack leave is much better. Still 2 T's to come. If I played rag, I could have 3 T's and 2 E's and be chasing the game. Aoi is good. Core takes A and E. Let me check the remaining vowels. 16 out of 35, so fractionally vowel dry. But a lot of those vowels are O's, U's and I's, which are the non-bingo-y ones. So the best possible rack leave would be rate, which would involve playing get. I think this works. Our reg doesn't take anything, and although I am taking out row N as a bingo lane and not creating a new lane, there are still bingo lanes on the board through E and A of easy, in row J, and I think Hokar takes an S, so column 10, and this is a good rack leave, and Teg isn't that many points behind what I would have got for Ran, for Rag rather. I am going with this. So, super bingo-y tiles, slightly vowel heavy, and most of the floaters are vowels, so not a great rack in terms of bingo prospects, unless I have a 7, and I don't think I do. My opponent could make a 3-letter play, bottom left, but that won't score massively. I have Toadia on my rack. I think that's good. I don't think it plays anywhere. That's a shame. I have a D for going underneath or, so this is a spot where I could open the board up a bit. I think it's just Toadia rather than Dotia. Is there really nothing with E, A and Y? Wow, 25 tiles in the bag. Surely opponent has got one of the blanks by now. Can't see anything with the E. Oh wow, opponent playing off A and E. Wow. Now, our we takes an L and only an L, no L's to come. So opponent is shutting the board down, nothing goes after A, E, nothing goes in front of our we. So I need to open the board up. How can I do that? Well, the top of the board is open because we've got the A and the E. Let me just check that Hokar takes an S or doesn't take an S. It does, so there is this really good column 10 spot. So what I need to do is to open up something at the bottom. Just looking at these 4 O's, I'd like to play off an O, but the only way I can do that at the bottom is playing Riot, which doesn't seem great. What about playing Tau? Not Tau. Oat. 17 points, keeping a good rack leave. Retaining R and I for Nazir and Rani to open the board up. Stopping opponent playing bottom left, so opponent's got to do something. And there are still these bingo lanes at the top. This doesn't feel great, but I'm not seeing a better spot, and I still am within 1 bingo's reach of opponents, so I don't want to overreact and do a Hail Mary board opening play. I'm going with Oat. Am I? 1D, 2 T's to come. Yes, I am. Great, I draw a blank. Fantastic. So, will I be able to bingo? What if the blank is an S? I don't think Pinders is good. E and A. So, is this my moment? What do I have through an E? And it doesn't have to begin with an E. E could be in second place. 6 minutes on my clock. This rack plus an E. I'm not feeling massively optimistic. Panniard. That doesn't work. ING ending. Nope. Ephedrine. What about ephedrine? If this is good, it's 86 points. And it's good. Unbelievable. And I draw the second blank. Fantastic. Wow, I was going through the motions somewhat there. I thought it was far more likely that the E would be in second place, but there was an 86-point bingo. What's opponent got in their locker? My lead, only 30 points and opponent on turn, so we could be very, very close. And look what I've drawn, G-U-U-V. Absolute horror show. Q and U are out there. This is a very tricky rack to shut the board down. If my rack had been different, I could have just played in row B, taking out all of these floaters. Just can't do that with this rack. I still have an I for Rani, no R for Nazir. But what's opponent going to do? Remaining scoring tiles, B, F, M and Q. And no super hotspots for any of them. I've got the blank, which means I am the only one of us to be able to hook a wee. But I don't have anything great in that spot, just love. Still an S out in the open, so I don't want to create any S lanes. Mar for 21, so my lead just 14. EA takes a U. But I don't have any. HM only takes an M. So, well, opponent's just scoring. They're not creating anything new. I must be fairly low on time, just 5 minutes on my clock. Is this rack so bad I should change? There are still 9 tiles in the bag. 6 vowels out of 16 rather. Opponent's unlikely to bingo. They're far more likely just to outscore me. But I'm struggling to see anywhere to play anything. I could do this. Yug for 7. Which achieves very, very little, apart from splitting up UUV. I do not want opponent to catch me. But what do I do with UUV? I have to split up the U's. I'm changing. I am short on time. This is a horror show. The best I can see is Yug. I don't have anything down from the D. Devi for 21. Yeah, I think, well... Yeah, I think this is better than changing. And I had an eye on the pool that it wasn't particularly bingo-y, so although I'm creating a 7-letter lane, I think opponent is unlikely to have a 7-letter bingo. 6 tiles in the bag. Neither of us can now exchange tiles. And I can play Vug. Phew. 18 points for opponent. My lead is just 17. There's 1 tile in the bag. Opponent does not have a bingo. So I lead by 3 minutes on my clock. I lead by 17. I'll lead by 31 after Vug. Opponent doesn't have any SQU plays in column 15. I'm retaining U and blank in case I draw the Q. When opponent played Biont, they drew 5 out of 6 tiles, so there's a 1 in 6 chance that the Q is in the bag. If opponent had the Q prior to Biont, they would have played it next to the I. So even without an SQ play, 3 minutes on my clock, I don't think opponent has got anything coming down from Vug. Any 6-letter play beginning with S. I probably will have. Well, I retract that because I'm only drawing 1 tile, but this is a pretty balanced 5-letter set. Opponent doesn't have any Q plays in row T. Nothing big can go next to this O. Can I score more than 14 points anywhere? Let me just put this back for a moment. Because if I could turn over a lot of tiles, I could, or more tiles than with Vug, I may be able to increase my chances of going out in 1. I'm going with Vug. If I draw the Q, I need options. Wow, I draw the S. Fantastic. So I have suited in column 15. Will that stay available? And do I have an alternative out? I have etudes in column 12, so I do have an out. What a pick, that S. It wouldn't have helped opponent massively, but it certainly helps me. My lead, 31 points. I think that should be enough unless I'm missing something big with the Q. But it's going to have to be really big. Opponent does have the U to go with it, but the rest of the rack is awful. If they had an E, they could have played Toke, but they played off an E with AE. So I think suited is my best play. I have lusted in row K and a wheel. Cora, I think it takes I, S and T. So I'm not seeing any plays which begin SL. What is opponent going to do? I don't think they've got anything from the T onto this triple word square. In which case suited may remain available, and it does. Fantastic. Suited for 29. And the final score, 370 for opponent, 441 for me, a winning margin of 71 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. What a finish. So, it was opponent to go first. Could have played Schlock for 40, and they changed. My rack. Phew, no missed bingo here. Powder is one of the longer plays, but Pow for 14 fewer points, keeping Ride. I prefer Ride is an excellent 4-letter set. I is just a random tile. And Powder provides 6 floaters for opponent, including DER, plus providing access to double word squares. So I think Pow is either equal to Powder or better than it. Now, opponent's rack. Plays Hoka. Phew, no missed bingo here. This was a rack I was concerned with. And I played Tiered, which creates this hotspot in row H, 29 points. I7. Opt is good, so I could have played Tide, avoiding creating that danger, keeping ERT, and I think that would have been a better play. Opponent with no vowels plays Lich for 40. But I now benefit from my suboptimal play because I have Wolf for 47. Opponent has Amies. Now, what did I miss? I missed anti-Rs. Where does that play? Oh, because of Hokers. Good grief. What an oversight. Yup. I identified Hoker took an S, and I had an S bingo, and didn't put the two together, so bit of a howler. I play Earl for 6. Opponent plays Roll. Phew, no missed bingo here. I play Lie for 2, keeping Strain, which is a really good 6-letter set, so I am sacrificing points for Rackley, but I'm still happy with that play. Opponent plays Nazi. And I play Ran. Could have stuck a T on the end, but T goes well with IRS, so I like my play. Wow, horrible collection of consonants for opponent. Plays Feg. And I have Nitrids, which plays in column 10 and row C. I think row C better, even though it's two fewer points, because Nitrids opens row A. Opponent plays X, and now I have Easy for 33. Opponent plays Jubes, and at this point opponent is leading by 50. I've got a non-bingo-y rack, and this was a rack I struggled with, but in the end I was happy with playing Teg and keeping a decent 4-letter rack leave. Opponent plays AE. And I have a great rack, but no bingo. So what do? I play Oat for 17, again sacrificing points for Rackley, but that's fine. Opponent plays Or, and here it is, Ephedrine for 86, and this is where the game turns, because I was trailing by 50. Pinders is good, wow. Other plays were repinned through the E and, well, the same word with the blank in a different spot, but Ephedrine definitely best. So suddenly it's me leading by 40 points, and opponent has to come back. They play Ma. I have this rack. I was on the very point of changing when I played Devi for 21, and really what attracted me to this play, I think I was short on time in game time, but Devi splits up VW by 1 tile, but that is 1 tile rather than none. And the rack leave isn't terrible with a Q to come, and the points 21 points when you've got a lead of only 14 points, 21 points more than doubles the lead, and Devi is not setting up anything big for opponent. Ordinarily, if the remaining pool were bingo-y, this would be madness because I'm creating a 7-letter bingo lane, but the remaining pool, not bingo-y. Opponent's rack plays Biont. So they played Biont from this. They don't have the Q. They draw it. My rack. And this is where I play Vug for reasons stated during the game. And I still like this. It's not that far off the top play and has a lot of merit. Opponent has got very little firepower given the board. Plays Coof for 15, and I go out with Suited for 29. So, what a game. Blotted my copybook with the miss of anti-Rs, but other than that, super exciting stuff. Delighted to spot Ephedrine, and some very challenging racks at the end to negotiate. So, super fun stuff. Many thanks to opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.